Hiya, I'm Carl. I'm George, and we are Abergele TV. He winked, didn't he?
Right, managed to track down Councillor Andrew Woods, who's going to tell us about a new proposal for a pump and cycle track. Andrew, what's this about?
Okay, thanks for asking. I'm going to just go through it. It's about a cycle track, two cycle tracks, one for smaller children, one for bigger children, and it's an extension to the Mugger area we have, which is a multi-use games area, the skate park, the tennis courts, and the kids' normal playground area.
Right.
So can I just talk you through where we plan it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, for instance, for those familiar with Abergele Pentre Mawr path, there is a stone circle, Gorsehead Stones,
Oh, yeah.
which arrived in 1993, part of the Eisteddfod Fund.
Right, it's just across the way from the children's play area, isn't
There's the
it?
children's play area, okay? And that's the children's play area. So what we are proposing at the moment is having a small cycle track where smaller children can ride here, and there's a parents' area there, so people can actually keep an eye on the kids. There's a muggers still there, and a bigger area like this one and this one that wraps around here.
Ah, okay.
Now, people will say, "Oh, it's a lot of land." That it's not a lot of land because we have to build slopes in to get in. So this is the outline, and then there'll be slopes to get in.
Yeah.
The original trees at G1, G2, all these stay the same. They had a habitat pile, which is an old tree that fell down about 10 years ago. That's getting moved between T8 and T7. Some of these trees are getting removed. Well, one of them's been removed already because it's dangerous. So this is a whole theory. So if you look, I don't know, there is a bigger plan and a bigger picture, which maybe Carl might want to get it in a minute. That's the stones themselves. So
Can you hold it up
yeah,
to the camera?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So we're going to make a feature of stones, an
Yeah.
entry point into this, and maybe a picnic area in there, so on and so forth, and wrap around the outside where you see the trees, and then bring it back on the other side, which will then be next to the kids' playground. That's a whole area.
Okay, well, this area actually gets really quite wet, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So that'll kind of solve a bit of that problem, won't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It'll solve the whole problem because, yes, part of the we've already done it already. We're going to have to divert. I won't go too technical, but there was a drain running through here.
Yeah.
Actually diverting into, it goes for 225 into a 675 drain here, so that's going to help matters. This area is wet. It's lower. All these markers here are the obviously topographical survey. So we'll be running a drain into the pond over here,
Okay.
which will take it away, and that'll be part. And the good thing about it is the council won't have to pay a penny towards this.
Oh,
because
right.
this is
So who's funding this?
Sports Wales.
Sports Wales.
Yep, Sports Wales.
Well, that's a win, isn't it?
It is a win because it's a 350 grand project. It's a big, expensive project.
Yeah.
So we've already had £28,000 off the self-levelling and strategic fund to develop all the professional fees and so on and so forth.
Right.
So we've got an architect, we've got the design done, we've got the drainage is done, we've got a CCTV survey next week on the drains. Where we're up to after that, I've got an officer meeting tomorrow to decide on the progress of this. It just goes on and on.
Well, on the pump and cycle track, does this conform to any sports type of event? You know, is there some kind of bike event? Does it?
Good question. Good question. They're what they call national circuits, national ones, like a national, football stadium.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. But they go from grade 3, which are small kids ones, grade 2. This will be a grade 1/national track.
Right.
So it will be complicated, but we're not going to use it for competitions.
Okay. So
It will be competitive.
Yeah. And what sort of surface is it? Tarmac or?
Yeah. If you look at this now, this is tarmac, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's what they call is a 300mm base and tarmac on the top.
Yeah.
And all you've got there is grass after that, and of course drains. If you look at these are drains, these are just soakaways.
Yeah.
They're so simple, and that's the whole thing about it. There's no maintenance. You know, like the skateboard park in Abergele, it's made out of metal.
Yeah.
There's no maintenance on that. There's nothing. It's been there 25 years. This is exactly the same. You know, there's no cars going on there.
No.
So you know, all you're going to have is push bikes.
Right, well, so if anybody wants to do this, where can they sign up? Is there a website they can sign up to, say they agree with it, or?
Yeah, well, you can contact through the place plan people, Abergele place plan.
Right.
Through Abby, and she'll pass them on to me. So that's placeplan@abergele.gov.uk.
Okay.
And they will pass those on to me. Or you can pass them on to me as a councillor, Councillor Andrew Wood at conway.gov.uk.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll try and put those up at the end of this video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Andrew.
Thank you as always.
You will.
You know we'll get there.
But what is a pump track? A pump track is just that, a track designed to be ridden by pumping rather than pedalling. They're usually a short loop, though sometimes you'll find a point-to-point pump track. Usually there's no elevation change. Tracks may be made from only dirt or surfaced with fine gravel or tarmac. Pump tracks will have a combination of two main features, rollers and berms.
Rollers are raised bits of track used to pump and push and pull over to generate speed. You can even jump or manual through them.
Berms are bank turns that you find on a lot of mountain bike trails, although a pump track are often steeper and tighter, and guess what? You can actually pump them.
What is pumping then? Well, time to learn. The pumping is essentially using your body weight to help gain momentum and propulsion. Yowzers. But how do we do it, Neil?
Well, you use the ups and downs on the trail, or should I say the transitions between the ups and downs, to your benefit, and it's all about using your body weight to make your bike heavier in the right place. You think about it being heavy in the bottom of the dips and light at the top. So as I roll over this roller into the bottom, I'm thinking about that transition from down to flat, and I'm trying to make myself heavy in the bottom of here. And that's all about using your weight and getting it down and into the bike. Me and Rich are both riding full suspension bikes today, which are great of course, but actually on a hardtail, you'd get way more pump for all the energy you put in. At least on a full suspension bike, you should be able to see it more obviously. Riding pump tracks properly feels really good because actually all you're doing is exaggerating what's already happening. If you roll through here quite fast, you would go heavy and squash into the bottom. If you exaggerate that squash using your hips down and into the bike, then you'll generate loads of speed. The hardest part about pumping for speed is actually getting the timing right. So think about where your rear wheel is on the trail. When your rear wheel goes from the down section to the flatter section, that's when you want to make it heavy. The great thing is when you get the timing right, it feels right and you make lots of speed. So we're at a tarmac pump track, actually Vela Solutions, creme de la creme. This is in Bentonville. Great thing about these all-weather tracks is you can hear the noises. You hear the tyres on the tarmac, and basically the louder Rich is, the better he's pumping.
So where is pumping useful on the trail then? How do you transfer it over? Well, much like on a track here, you'll use it to generate speed out on the trail, maybe in areas where you can't quite pedal through or on undulations in the ground as well.
Now you've got the speed, comes the fun, although going fast is fun as well. You can start bringing in things like manuals, so lifting your front wheel up through the rollers. You've got to be good at manuals before you attempt this, so covering your back brake so that if you get too far up, you can hit that back brake to drop it front wheel down. Although that can be a bit dodgy if you drop your front wheel hard into another roller. So practice first on the flat before you come to pump track. Sometimes it's really good fun to try and keep the manual up as well through a few rollers, probably not quite as fast as doing them one at a time. And the way I like to do it actually most of the time is just keep it quite a low manual and then pump the back wheel through the roller.
So that's pumping in a straight line mastered. But what about when it comes to berms? How do you pump and go around a turn? Neil?
Well, you need a certain type of berm. Think about a bowl turned on its side. It needs to be quite tight and whippy. If you've got a mellow corner that kind of isn't tight enough or isn't banked enough, you won't really get a pump. Also, again, a bit like pumping on the rollers, you'll hear the tyres here because you're already squashing them and cornering. And it's a case of, again, using your weight to push into the corner, but also whip the bike around. I don't think you make much speed, but you do get a little bit.
So how does pumping turns and berms count for on the trail? Well, much like it does on the pump track, it's all about generating that speed. Just watch out for when it gets a little bit loose though. Let's talk about some advanced level pump track action now, and it's gaps. So finding gaps on a pump track is insanely fun, and it's essentially jumping from one roller to the next, be that into or out of a berm as well, just to really spice it up. And you're actually looking for maybe what you can achieve to begin with, because you don't want to go setting your sights too high. If you come up short, a pump track is fairly unforgiving sometimes to land on, so kind of bear that in mind you're doing it. We're doing it today on some full susses, and it's quite hard work because all that extra bounce you've got in the suspension, these tacky tyres, absorb that speed. A hardtail is the one here. It makes gaps a lot easier.
Learning gaps at a pump track are a really good reason why these places are so much fun as well. So you can repeat these things over and over until you're tired out. But basically, it gives you a really good feel for how fast you're going versus how much lip and how much lift you need to make from a bunny hop to clear that gap. And then you can use that wherever you want.